Okay, Demai, Perek Vav Mishnah Yud Bet. This is the last Mishnah in Perek Vav of Demai. Let me start by asking you an interesting question. What if you had a friend who was not as religious as you, and he asked you to buy something for him that you thought was questionably kosher? Not so sure. You're pretty sure it's not kosher. You're not 100% sure. But he said, oh, you're going to the store? Do me a favor and buy me, I don't know, whatever. Something you're totally not comfortable with. Buy me, I don't know, I'm not going to say something. Buy me fish at the fish counter that they also sell shrimp at, and they don't wash the knives. And you're like, well, they don't really wash the knives? Yeah, I don't care. It's not a big deal. Is it your responsibility or is it not your responsibility? Do you have an obligation to worry about? Do you have to make sure that the guy washes down the whole area for him as well as for you? Or if he doesn't care, he doesn't care. So the answer of the Mishnah might be somewhat surprising. Listen to the case of the Mishnah. It's so surprising, actually, that the Gemara in Yerushalmi interprets the Mishnah in an entirely different way. Am Haaretz shamar l'chaver. So Am Haaretz hears that his friend the chaver is going to the grocery store. We'll call it Kroger's. Kach li agud, so he says to the guy, Kach li agudat yarak, do me a favor and buy me some vegetables. Kach li gluz kinecha, do me a favor and buy me a roll. So the Mishnah says, Lokeach stam upatur. The simple interpretation of the Mishnah is, Lokeach stam, he could just buy it, upatur, and the chaver doesn't have any responsibility. Let's look at the Bartanura, the first explanation. Chaver was going to Kroger's. Am Haaretz, in Israel, of course, in the time of Demai, whatever, it's a special Kroger's. And the Am Haaretz said to him, can you buy me? You're going to the store, can you buy me some as well? And the chaver bought 2 stalks of celery. Velo pirish lo zo li zo la'amaretz. He didn't say which is which. He just said, I bought 2 stalks. Patur mila aser otash and la'am haaretz. The Mishnah seems to say that he is exempt from being the aser. Why? The yesh breirak shenot la'am haaretz. When he gets home, the neighbor, the Am Haaretz, comes over and says, oh, do you buy my celery? He gives it to the Am Haaretz. Okay. It turns out, if we say yesh breira, that means that the one, when he bought it, he didn't buy it for himself, he only bought it for the Am Haaretz. So yesh breira means, remember, retroactively it's determined, shezohi otash lakach mitchila litzarcho. That's the one that he bought for the Am Haaretz. Ve'em lechaver machlifa b'shalom. And the chaver is not switching it with his own. So, I bought fish, you bought fish. Turns out that, that's the one I bought. And actually, my fish example is not a good example because if I made a specific effort to clean my fish and I didn't make his fish, that would probably be bad. So in this case, with the celery, I bought 2. One of them I'm going to take off Ma'asor, and the other one he'll do what he wants. Okay, but the Mishnah says, V'im amar shali zo v'zo shel chaveri. If he says originally, okay, this one is mine, and that one's my neighbor's, v'nitarvu, and then they become mixed. Chayav la'aser. Then he has to take off ma'aser. Afilu hein mea. Even if his was the neighbor's was 1, and mixed with 100 of yours, you have to take off. The other way around. Yours was 1, the neighbor's was 100. You never know which one is yours, so the balabayit, so the chaver has to take off ma'aser from each one, because of the safek. Maybe this is the one that belongs to you. What's shocking about this is sort of the casual attitude. It's really shocking that the Mishnah seems to imply that the chaver, whatever he does is his problem, which is not what we really have learned about chaverim in the Mishnah in general. We learned that chaver eino mitzi yadachat yado davar she'eino mitukan. So how can he all of a sudden, I have Demai? What's not my problem? It's his, it's not mine. So therefore, you'll notice, I will point out to you, there's a Pirush Acher Min Yerushalmi that says, no, this is not talking about that case at all. Rather, it's talking about, Am Haaretz said to the chaver, go buy me celery. V'hamocher chaver, and the mocher is a chaver. Okay, ve'yodea, and he knows, shezeh lokeach b'shvil ha'am haaretz lo lokeach, and the seller knows that the buyer is buying it for an Am Haaretz, not for himself. P'tura ha'aguda azot m'maser demai. So then the buyer is patur, he doesn't have to take off ma'aser. Why? Shekevan she'amocher chaver, ve'yodea sheletzarech Am Haaretz ukoneh, because the seller is a chaver, and he knows that it's being bought for an Am Haaretz, eino mocher lo ela im kein iser. He wouldn't sell it without taking off Masra, the seller, the shopkeeper. So in the end, what it's really saying is, I'll give you, let's just read according to the second interpretation. Am Haaretz she'amar lechaver. Am Haaretz says, Kach li agudat yerek, buy me something at the grocery store, whatever. Lokeach stam upatur. If the balabayit, if the chaver who goes to the store is buying it from another chaver, then the chaver know, and he says, listen, I'm buying it from my neighbor, the Am Haaretz. He could just buy it, and the buyer doesn't have to take off maaser because he can assume that the seller, who's the chaver, is also taking off maaser. And you can read the rest if you want. You can read the continuation of how this second interpretation reads the end of the Mishnah. But what's interesting is, according to the second interpretation, it's unimaginable that a chaver would go to the store and buy Demai and give it to an Am Haaretz. And that makes more sense according to us. If you think that it's wrong, if you wouldn't eat it yourself, how in the world are you going to give it to your Am Haaretz neighbor? No, it's not my problem. I'm not responsible. So therefore, that I think is the prompting for the second interpretation of the Yerushalmi. On the other hand, there is always the regular pshat, the first interpretation, where technically, halachically, it's not your problem. Technically, halachically, we say, yesh breira. You're not trading for him, you're not giving him something that belonged to you. You went to the store and you bought it on his behalf. And you don't always have to go crazy and make sure that the Am Haaretz is following every halacha that you would follow. Okay, if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to contact me at rspolter@gmail.com, which is right here. And of course, I want to dedicate this learning to the memory of my father, Harav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Have a great day.